I was just not inspired to shoot with it. It just didn't fit my style. Good morning, everyone. It's time for another video. Let's get started. Let's get it started. Yeah. I'm Wesley, and today I'm going to discuss why I ultimately returned the Lumix S5ii. Let's get it. I'm sick, guys. I have a really, really bad case of gas. This gas is kind of holding me hard. Oh my God. Oh well. I guess you can't say you don't know what it's like if you don't try it all. So let's talk about why I ultimately decided that the Lumix S5ii was not for me. And we're going to start with build quality. I know I touched on this on my initial review, and they're nitpicky things, but I want to talk about them first. The build quality, while on paper, just is great. Just doesn't feel that way to me in the hands. The metals feel thin, the back screen feels fragile, and I think it could be a little bit more robust. I think most people would prefer that. I did like the ergos and the button placement. Kudos to Lumix for that, and a great design layout. And the little things like spring-loaded buttons on the lens hoods and the hot shoe covers and even the body cap to prevent them from coming off. It's not all bad. I mean, but there are some nitpicky things, and slow startup times was another one. They continue to bother me. The camera just didn't feel quick. It felt very slow, slower than the ZF and the XH2S and the XT5. Again, this may not bother some, but you'll know if it bothers you. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that. All right, guys, let's get into the actual reason why I ultimately returned it. The main reason, and that's the log footage. I noticed a lot of pinks in the skin tones, and it really was hard to work with. In all honesty, those two nitpicky things that I just talked about are something that many could deal with. But where I think it comes down to personal preference is the look of the footage itself. I filmed my initial impressions of the S5ii on the Nikon ZF, and when I went to grade that footage, after grading Lumix footage for several videos, I quickly realized how much more time I was spending trying to get the vlog footage to look as good as the in-log footage, for that matter. It's a lot of people talk about, well, you can just, color grade the skin tones. Yeah, you can, but that just takes a lot of time. And when you're trying to put out videos and you got a day job and you got a life, I don't want to spend that much time doing something that I don't need to do. There's a good amount of pinks in the skin tones on Lumix camera bodies, and that's just not acceptable. And it's even after applying the LUTs and before performing color space transform and trying to get all of those pinks fixed, I was spending way too much time color grading on the skin tones. And while trying not to introduce noise, which quickly became a problem at times, as I tried to color grade the skin tones, there would be noise on my face, nowhere else. And if you know what's going on, correct me in the comments. Don't hesitate to. And while you're there, drop a like, thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, do all the things. But back to the video. On the other hand, like the F-Log 2 footage from this XH2S that I'm filming on today gets the skin tones right, as long as you get the color balance or the white balance right in camera. Now I set the white balance to 5100 Kelvin. These are daylight lights, which is 5600. But even though I dialed in the white balance to the Kelvin temperature like I do on the Fujis on the S5ii, it was still just a little bit off, and those pinks in the skin tones would not go away. Oh my God. Why, Panty Boy? You have all the specs on paper, but I just hate the way the color science is on the Lumix bodies. It's probably me. Oh, it is me. Let's just be honest. I just have found better on other brands for my needs. The real deal breaker here was the pink skin tones. Like I said, I'm Greek, my family's Greek, we have olive skin, and there's really not a lot of pink in our skin tones. We are not Seattle no sun post-winter pink. I can promise you that. Shout out to my Seattle video. Go give that a look if you haven't yet. Like I said, it's me, not you. The biggest and most important reason, it was uninspiring. Art, guys, this is art. And the most important thing is your creative drive. The Lumix S5ii got in my way more than providing an outlet for my creativity. I was just not inspired to shoot with it. It just didn't fit my style. The colors were just not for me, and this is what led me to leave Sony way back. And I'm not going back to using something I don't prefer just because of the specs on paper. If I were going to do that, I would just go back to Sony. But I mean, it's not all bad. It's a good camera. It does great for what it's for. It's got shutter angle, it's got great battery life, open gate, great ergos, the back wheel, lots of functionality. The AF switch is in a perfect place. It's got a lot of good going for it. And if you prefer this color profile, then this is the camera for you. It's just not for me. I wish all cameras had shutter angle. It's a great feature, but if you are a photographer and you've been around for long enough, you can set your camera up like I did on the XH2. I have 7 settings. The first 3 are for photo, and that's, for manual, aperture priority, shutter priority. The last 4 are for video. First one being log 24p, then log 60p, then log 120p, and then 240. So I have all the different settings with all the different shutter speeds set. So all I gotta do is switch it, and it perfectly has it set for me. So really and truly, like, shutter angle is great, but if you have a camera with custom settings, you don't need shutter angle. You can just set it up and forget it after that, like I have on the XH2S here that I'm filming with today. Okay, that being said, though, it's easy on cameras like the Z6 III, the XH2, XH2S, even the S5ii to set up your custom modes for 24 or 60p to have your shutter set for 48 and 120 respectively. On the S5ii, your third custom mode has 3 sub modes, which I also set for 24, 60, and 120. I wish it had more than 3 custom modes. I wish it had 7 like the XH2S does, but nitpicky. That's nitpicky. So on other cameras, I just make sure that I dial these settings in and account for the shutter being double the frame rate. And as long as you do that when you set up your custom settings, you can set it and forget it. While it's convenient to have shutter angle, it's not a deal breaker for me. I would prefer having better skin tones than having shutter angle. That's just me. Battery life, again, was always great on the S5ii. Open gate proved to be very convenient on the short that I filmed recently on it. But again, pink skin tones is a deal breaker. So as you can probably guess, what I'm switching back to is the Fuji XH2S. Because I love the color science on Fuji cameras. I love the 7 custom settings. I love the battery life. I like the log footage. It's the LUTs that Fuji provide for DaVinci Resolve make it very easy to color grade. And the autofocus, while isn't as good, in my opinion, as the S5ii or the Nikons, for the studio like this, it's fine. It works fine. And what led me to do this is I went back to my own channel and watched videos to see which camera I actually preferred. I prefer a more filmic look, muted colors, darker mood in my videos, and that led me back to this XH2S specifically. For a studio camera, I could have honestly just gone with the XS20, and that's what I would recommend to most people. But I wanted to future-proof myself for some upcoming projects that I have outside the studio. I even stated that I don't think I like the S5ii better than my XH2, and I didn't at all. I didn't like the skin tones, and the log footage didn't seem as easy to work with as the XH2. I'm filming this today on the XH2S, like I said, in f/log2 with a 23mm f1.4, by the way. I can't use my beloved 18mm f1.4 because it's too wide field of view for the teleprompter. So I had to get this 23, and so far so good. I actually like it. But the log footage, it does come down to personal preference. So if you like the Lumix color science, then get it. It's a great camera. It's very, very, very affordable right now. Very affordable. I just didn't think it was for me, and for those reasons, I ended up returning it. The bottom line is the S5ii made my life a little harder, and I was not a fan of that. The one thing about trying all the brands is I can't say I don't know what it's like. The grass isn't always greener, and now I know with certainty what I prefer. They're all great, but this is art, and it comes down to your personal preference, what takes your creativity to the next level, what works better for your eye. And after trying them all, I'm sticking with my Nikons, my Fujis, of course my beloved Q3. But so long, Lumix S5ii. See you later, buddy. It was good while it lasted. Well, let's be honest. No, it wasn't. But I tried you, and it wasn't for me. Okay, guys, that's it for this one. Let me know in the comments which you prefer and why. Be nice, be kind, guys. These are just camera brands. They're not like your life. You're not married to it. This is just camera brands, guys. Be a fan, but be nice to each other. Let me know which one you prefer, which menus, ergos, and which files work better for you. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right, guys. Peace.